Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new exclusive interview with Deceuninck UK MD Rob McGlennon. Good afternoon or good evening.
Good evening. I better say good evening, hadn't I? You know, just to be on the safe side.
Absolutely, absolutely fine. I guess this is just a general chit chat about where we're at and what Deceuninck's up to and the industry at large at the moment. And I guess the sort of the natural question to ask is, how are Deceuninck doing?
We could go all the way. We won't right now, but we could go all the way back to the beginning, pre-COVID. I won't do that. So to summarize, we are still blowing the doors off, and orders are well in excess of anything that we were anticipating through our budgeted period this year. So yeah, I'll be the first one to admit we're rattling a little bit. Not as much as so many that I've heard about in the industry, but we're doing our level best to support our fantastic customers.
What do you think is the reason why Deceuninck is, I guess, as stable as they are? Obviously, demand is insanely high, pretty much across the board. So, what would you say is the reason why Deceuninck's managing that so well?
Well, first of all, you're only as good as your customers, and we have a fantastic group of customers. Some of them are household names, some of them are award-winning businesses. So we've got a great clutch of customers. They all get our offer. Our offer is very focused around color and color availability. We've grown our segment of color over the last couple of years. But if I tell you now that as of today, we are 62% foiled of our total turn by volume. And at some periods during the course of the month, last month, we hit 70%. So the demand on color is absolutely...
That's insane.
Astonishing. And actually, listen, I know it's a problem for a lot of people. We're used to doing it and we're struggling a bit with the demand. So just being perfectly honest, yeah, I hope business doesn't grow anymore between now and the end of the year, because we've got enough. Thank you very much. But listen, what we should also remember is, thank God we've come back to this, because there's a lot of industries that would willingly do a lot to be in the place of the window industry.
This is it. I mean, and for those who follow me online, you'll know that we have our own installations business. And I think me, you, Rob, and everyone in between, I guess was kind of estimating how much down we would be. I don't think anybody anticipated how much up we would be. It was all about minimizing how much downside there would be in the end. And now, as you've just said, we are very, very lucky to be where we are right now. But it's interesting you talked about lead time. Do you think this is going to be a temporary thing, or will it kill off the short lead time business model? Or are we for now forever going to be accepting of, you know, a number of weeks as a lead time for certain products?
Well, I think that depends on the customer. It depends on the installer, and it depends on the fabricator. You know, we've got a very broad offer of color, which is 30 colorways from stock, and we do another 20 colors on 15 working days. It's unprecedented. Nobody else can do that in the industry. I suppose the fabricator and the installer that are still dominated by white, because they're at a different end of the market. Our fabricators are very much focused on people that are, over 40, probably over 45, that are on probably not their first, not their second, maybe even their third lot of windows, and maybe their second or third property. Yeah. And they're looking to spend real money on transforming their property and making it look different to anything else in the street. So, and the consumers really got colour, by the way. So,
oh, definitely.
There's the people that are in the know. They follow a thing called the colour road, which dictates what colours may be of influence in the future. I mean, you look at the paint manufacturers; they'll have all the colours, a palette which is unbelievable, hundreds of different colours. But I bet most of what they sell is magnolia. And in the window industry right now, even though we offer 30 colorways from stock and another 20 on a short lead time, 50 others if you need them, I'd rather people didn't order those right now. We've got enough on our plate. 5 shades of grey are half of what we sell today.
I was about to ask, what is grey, is a particular colour your big sell?
Grey in, as I say, 5 different shades, whether it be ultra matte, But that is slowly starting to change. We call colours like a gate grey has been popular for a number of years, and that's gathered. Where we've got other colours like sage, which are also gathering pace. So I think the tones of grey might morph into other colours over the future years.
The booming colours well documented, and that's going to be the biggest driving force, especially at the higher end. I don't know what you think, Rob, but colour's been the huge driver at the higher end, and I can't see it going back from there for a very long time.
Well, it's that everybody in the supply chain's got to get it right, because we've got 8% penetration in the marketplace as far as volume is concerned, properties that are already completed. So Mr. and Mrs. Scoggins, as I say, may have bought white once, they may have bought white twice, but they're certainly not going to buy a third time in a third property. No. They're going to look for enhancements. You know, people will spend £10,000 to £40,000 and above on kitchens. Today, the consumer wants a different colour, something that contributes to the visual appearance of their property. They want to add downpipes, guttering, soffits to the same colour to really make the property look on trend.
Absolutely. Considering the demand we're in, is it too harsh to say we should have been more prepared? Or is it something completely unforeseen and a lot of us have just been caught on the hop? Is it unfair? Would that be too harsh, or should we have been more prepared?
I think nobody could have prepared us for this. I mean, if you go back to the end of March, when we were starting to stare this in the face, fortuitously, I said we've got a very strong management team and we react to things. And listen, our business, the fenestration industry is quick to react. We've learned to be agile over the years. But I just said, with 3 weeks before lockdown, I think we better fill the warehouse. Now, that's probably the opposite to what most people have said. Most people would have said, reduce stock, let's reduce costs. Let's get a budget together that looks at 25% return, then 40% return, then 50%. And maybe by the time we get to the Christmas break, we'll be back at 90, maybe almost back at normality. And look at what we've come back to. You've got pent-up demand. People sat at home for an extended period, painting, gardening, all of those sorts of things, looking at their properties and thinking, may as well spend the money that I didn't spend going on vacation. I know you've heard it all before from everybody, but it's a fact. That's the way we've ended up with the industry that we've got in the position that it's in. And thank God we filled the warehouse, because it gave us a little bit of a buffer for when we return. I
think in your case, then, the fact you were foresighted and prepared enough, and it's lasted you in good stead. But if you look at where, and we've noticed this obviously at the installer end, there's not many other viable routes for people to spend their money right now. As you've just said, holidays is off. Hospitality, unfortunately, is taking a beating with people staying home. Because people are staying home, the one likely route they can spend their money on is on their houses.
Well, it's all the unknown, isn't it? Nobody knows what the future is. And listen, I probably have a little hard view on all of this. COVID is an horrendous thing. The country shouldn't have to be dealing with what we're dealing with. Fact is, we're in it. I think where I'm a little bit lost, and people can plagiarize me for this at a later date, but you know, all of those people that we owe our futures to, from the First World War and the Second World War, think of all the sacrifices that those people gave. And all we're asking people to do is stay in and stay 2 meters apart. And please wear a mask when you go shopping. I mean, how hard can it be?
I do agree with you. You know, the sacrifices we are being asked to make now are not large. You know, no. Don't go for a drink. Don't go to a restaurant. Stay at home. We're not being asked to do that much. I would personally agree with you. I know there's a debate out there, and you know, I guess COVID's the new Brexit, and everyone's got an opinion on it, and people are getting quite polarized. But yeah, it is tough, and like you say, it's a shame we're having to live through it. But the sacrifices we're being asked to make to preserve a healthcare system that any of us might need at a moment's notice, it's the most important thing.
I think what everybody needs to understand, because I don't suppose it's a statistic that's been thrown around there much, but if you look at history in the UK, I know it's not nice, But in the UK, we lose between 30 and 50,000 people a month anyway.
Mm.
So the 45 or 50,000 people that have got COVID, I mean, COVID is threatening to those that it'll kill them if they're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be very, I'm not belittling it in any way, shape or form. It's something to be revered. But if we follow all the guidelines carefully, I'm pretty sure that most of us can get away with it.
Well, that's it. The guidelines are there for a reason, and I think if we abide by it, wear your masks, wash your hands, keep your distance, you know, sacrifice one or two things here and there for a medium period of time, and we'll see it through. I think the guidance, it works. You know, the basics work in washing your hands and wearing your mask. We've just got to make sure we do it.
And listen, we've all got to go back to work. The country's, we can't afford the furlough scheme for another 18 months. I know everybody'd like that, but
we've got to pay for the NHS.
Got to pay for the NHS. We've got to pay for everything. And so we've got to get back to work. I mean, in the business that we're in, our lineals of plastic are 6 meters long. There's not really any reason for anybody to get too close to one another, even though we operate on the red and yellow card in the factory, in the warehouse, and in the foiling lamination area. So if people are caught too close together, they get a yellow card, and if they're caught twice, then they get a red card and they're sent.
That's interesting.
Of course, Jason, what we've all got to be mightily aware of is to keep COVID out of our business. None of us want it in our homes, but for COVID to get into an extrusions company, into a fabrication business, into a retail installer, it's going to create an awful lot of issues, a lot of pain, and a lot of heartache. So everybody should abide by the rules and keep it out of their business as much as they can.
You're absolutely right. There's a lot of stress right now, Rob. Everyone's busy. Everyone's sleeping less, working more. What advice would you give to people, to businesses, to help cope with that stress, to help plan, to try and manage the situation as best they can?
Well, I think what we've all got to realise is where we started this conversation is, by golly, aren't we in a much better place than we thought we were all going to be? Yeah. If you've got an order book that you can't cope with, count yourself lucky. Talk to your customers. Everybody is understanding. It's like our customers wanting information from us. It's like the installer wanting information from the fabricator. As long as you feed people with information, people can deal with the issues and problems. And we've all got people that have got different wants and needs for products at different times. So it's all about information, isn't it? Communication,
honesty. Changing tack, totally. Deceuninck have joined as a launch partner, Fenix.
Yes.
So it's great to have you on board on that. Much appreciated.
Well, you'd know all about that, wouldn't you?
Well, I would. I might know something. So what? Obviously, we showed Fenix to you last week, I think. What made you look at Fenix and go, we need to do this?
Different medium. I mean, I think we've got to follow every avenue. At Deceuninck, we try and look for innovation. In Europe, we've launched our new elegant system, which is very innovative, to say the least.
Yeah.
But we're known for innovation. We're known for doing things slightly differently, which I realise that our colour offer will be giving lots of other system suppliers headaches, which it is currently. You need to think, you need to sit down and think. Because if you've got a broad colour offer, you need a lot of experience in the business. You can't buy automation and just do it that way. It doesn't work. You need experience in the business, and you need to reassure that experience that it's got longevity.
Brilliant. So we're looking forward to seeing what you've got planned. I don't know if you want to tease something now, or are you going to make people wait to see what you've got planned for next?
I think we should keep it a surprise, because we've got a few things about, a few things to launch. But yeah, no, it's of interest to me. I mean, I really don't know whether exhibitions are going to take place next year in the UK, in Europe. And I'm looking for something new. We've been very successful of building our business over the last 5 or 6 years. I've got no real need to take everybody to an exhibition for a couple of days. And what you're proposing suits me, because it's a way of everybody interrogating our product range and our offer from a distance, and it's available to everybody.
Back to the demand question, simple one. How long will this last?
Well, if we think about the way we were thinking in March, yeah, it's going to finish at Christmas, all wash up. We need to go to the beach for the next 6 months. But of course, it's not, because you'd know that lead times are now for retail customers are pushed out into January and February. And by the time we get to the close of Christmas, that'll be Easter. So I really don't see. Well, we've got a few things, haven't we? We've got COVID to deal with, and in Europe, we've got Brexit, which everybody in Europe's forgotten about, by the way, because they'll get other things to
I'm going
worry.
to say, do you remember that when
I,
life was simple and all we had was Brexit to worry about?
I mean, we'd all had enough of it, but it'd be nice to have a little chit chat about Brexit now, wouldn't it? Because we've all had a guts full of COVID. Yeah, to be honest with you, I think the first half of next year I don't think it's going to be as strong as it is now, because there's a multitude of reasons why things are as pushed as they are around. Pent up people with cash to burn, and they'll run out of that eventually. But then, of course, it'll be even more imperative to have your product range and your offer focused at the people that can afford to buy things moving forward.
I think for us, I mean, just to give you some background, Rob, I mean, our business, our installer, we're we're into February now, which means even, like you say, by the time we get to Christmas, installs will be looking at Easter, late March, early April. So even if things were to drop off significantly at Christmas and, be a slow start to the new year, we've still got 3-4 months worth of work at that point, well in advance, already booked in.
Well, in the different sectors as well. Let's just not talk about retail, because that's your basket. But people embroiled in new build. New build demand is at a ridiculous level, and that's going to continue for the next 3, 4, 5 years because of government pressure. Commercial contracts. There was a period of about 6 months where things that had gone through planning, everything was priced, the contract was pending. And I think COVID shocked everybody for a little while, but that's all been released. So there's a contract after contract becoming available, being awarded to successful fabricators. And some of the contracts that some of our larger fabricators are getting involved with are 2, 3, and 4 years long. So that's long-term projects. Trade, I think, is the one where people are having to think, because they're having to think on their toes. I think the fabricator feels threatened because they don't want to let their customer down. On the other hand, the customer's got limited options, so they're better off sticking with the option that they know and trust, and hoping that the fabricator finds a way to appease their demand and supply them with product in as timely a fashion as possible. But there's been a huge breakdown of supply of not only UPVC systems, but reinforcing steel, aluminium, hardware, right through. The people have struggled to get everything, because none of us were expecting this demand. And it's going to take a while to settle down. So that's why I think there's going to be longevity into the half-year patch of Brexit. Brexit is going to be something. I mean, I'm sure most worldly wise fabricators and installers will understand that if we have a hard Brexit, then instantaneously, overnight, then there's going to be importation duty on raw materials and also importation duty on finished products. And that will be passed on immediately because it's a tax. My hope actually is that in typical European style, that a deal will be done at the 11th hour on the last day.
Brexit is coming up, that thing we've all forgotten about for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Where do we think it will end? What you've just said there about, the typical last minute fudging of a deal is kind of where I was maybe thinking it would happen. You'd get the bare bones of an agreement, something to get over the line, and maybe you'd expand on that over time in the years to come. But as of today, where are we now? 14th of October. I think Boris is due to speak to Europe. Is it today or tomorrow? To check on progress, whether there's a deal. Do you think we'll leave with or without one?
I think that we're led to believe we're a country of 66 million. I think there's a few more than that myself. That's a hell of a market to walk away from. And actually what the UK is famous for is paying its bills. I mean, if you take, let's think of a stat off the top of my head. In 2019, the UK purchased 37 million bottles of champagne from France. Now, we could buy all of those from America, couldn't we?
We could.
I think we'll see things like the auto industry, etc., piling on and leveraging huge pressure with governments to come up with a solution. Of course, the EU are going to be holding the hard line all the way to the end because they want to be seen to doing a good job for the rest of the people in Europe, and we understand that. But a hard Brexit would be one I think would be costly to other people, not simply to ourselves.
Do you think it would have a dampening effect on fenestration, Rob?
I don't think so. People are past it, aren't they? Well, you know, we voted to leave. We're leaving. It's on the last day of this year. People are set up for that now, and I think with all the nonsense that's going on in the rest of the world, with people like Mr. Trump, who is somebody we don't want to talk about, but with all everything that's going on in the world, I think if we wake up and we find out that we've got a deal or we haven't got a deal, it's almost like a flip of a coin, isn't it? And I think that's how the British people view it, actually.
I would tend to agree. I do get the sense. Look, it is still a serious matter, but given what's going on, we are past it. I think most people have accepted it, whether they like it or not, however they voted. I think we're all just looking forward to Christmas and New Year, aren't we, Rob, for a rest and a drink and a mince pie.
Simply. Although my biggest piece of advice would be work through most of the time through Christmas, because you're going to need it to fulfill the orders that you're going to get just before.
So it won't just be a lazy Christmas, maybe not. Maybe not for the installers, at least.
Well, and for us, I mean, we're probably going to shut for 4 days. The rest of it, we're just going to run everything.
Yeah, there's that much to do.
Yeah, there's that much to do.
Wow, excellent. Well, look, thank you very much for your time, Rob. It's great to see how busy you are. Long may it continue. I hope you all keep safe and well. And if I don't see you personally before, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Of course, and at the same time, I wish everybody in the industry well and the country well. Obviously,
absolutely. Keep safe out there.
Keep safe, and let's keep our fingers crossed for a very positive year next year.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rob.
No worries.